Okay. So what is the BA framework? Lots of folks ask me, like, where do projects come from? And projects arise in order to meet human needs, right? Either from a business or a customer standpoint, the need is recognized and management determines whether the need is worth funding. So oftentimes, all the projects or majority of the projects that we have are to make things easier for our stakeholders, make things easier for our staff, right? So for example, if there's a manual way of gathering data and reports, we're going to try to create a project that's going to automatically pull those numbers in so that way folks don't have to manually gather the data points and report that manually, right? Other projects, for example, I'm most recently working on call center projects, and a lot of our projects are for self-service, right? So imagine a call center and imagine getting millions of calls each month. If we can add self-service functionality for folks that are calling in, then that reduces our call volume, and then it also reduces the number of agents that we need to hire to answer those calls. So imagine all IT projects often come from a business need that we're trying to fulfill, making things more efficient or effective. Um, and then there are other reasons why we have projects as well. We may also have compliance related projects. Healthcare and insurance, for example, are highly regulated industries, and therefore oftentimes some of the projects that we work on are related from compliance changes that the government may make. And then once those rules and regulations are in place, companies that are within that domain are required to make those changes. Otherwise, they can get fined up to millions of dollars. So while some projects are there for efficiency purposes, to make things a little bit easier for our staff or for our customers, right? There are other reasons why we have projects, one of which could be for compliance reasons. Other reasons why we may have projects is just to make sure that we are at the same level with our competitors, right? So especially in publicly traded companies, for example, Morgan Stanley, Smith Barton, like all of these big organizations, they have the same bells and whistles, right? Because they want to make sure that the customers that they're retaining or they're getting aren't going to leave them for bells and whistles with a different company. So we of course, also have projects because our competitor company has, or our sister company has, these standard tool sets that we want to then also implement and make available to our customers or to our staff, right? And then oftentimes you may have a new manager or, projects sometimes also are there for political gain. And at this point, what I say is as a business analyst or even as a PM, we're assigned to projects after the decision has been made. And so you work on what you're assigned, right? You roll with the punches. If you sometimes we start projects and we get to the requirements, and then there's a political reason why we need to put the project on hold, then put it on hold, move on to the next one, right? Your paycheck doesn't change whether they are having you work on a project or not. So as long as you don't, oftentimes people do take it personally and they get upset. I always say if they've hired you as a business analyst and they're making you update Excel spreadsheets, who cares? You're still getting the same paycheck. If they move you from one project to the next, as long as it's not for performance reasons, it doesn't really matter. Just move with the punches. There are always a lot of changes that happen in the project environment, and it is just normal. It's there's not much that I can control or you can control with some of these changes that take place, but just know that there are often lots of changes that do take place, and you just have to roll with the punches sometimes. Any questions before I move on?